All right, all right. Thanks, Will. Appreciate the intro. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Pass Eye on the podcast, and I am your host, Dr. Sean M. Nicholson. And today we're diving into two critical topics that will shape your path to success. First, I'll be talking about mindset mastery, cultivating a champion's mentality. And then we'll move into the strategic pivot, turning setbacks into comebacks. Now, these two concepts work hand in hand. Your mindset helps you stay strong in face of challenges and disappointments, and knowing how to pivot will help you move towards your goals, no matter what comes your way. All right. So we're going to get on into it. And I believe that passion is the ability to pass eye on. So let's jump into how your mindset and actions can propel you to the next level. Now, just for you that are just tuning in, this is a podcast that we help local business leaders share their important work and support them by telling their passionate stories that really matter. You can catch me here weekly every Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern on the Infusion TV channel on the Mogul TV Global Network. Now, before we get into the mindset mastery and cultivating a champion's mentality, we're just going to break right quick for a quick commercial. You know how they say you gotta pay the bills. All right, so we're going to get right into that right now. So we'll be right back. Okay, okay, we are back. We are back. Welcome for you to just joined in. This is the Pass Eye On podcast with Dr. Sean M. Nicholson, and I am here with you every Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. right here on the Infusion TV channel, and we're just excited to be a part of this family. And they have embraced us with our content and our podcast. So we're just happy to be able to bring you some positive content. All right. So we're going to get right into it. Now, on last week's episode, we really hit on some things about being able to reevaluate, to refocus, and to realign. And I titled it Halftime Huddle. Now, this is a pun on basketball terms. Now, today, we're going to have a double header. So we're coming to the end. So we're going to have a double header. And we're going to talk about today mindset mastery, when you're able to cultivate a championships mentality, cultivating a championships mentality. And second, the second half of the double header, we're going to be talking about pivoting, and not just pivoting, but a strategic pivot, turning setbacks into comebacks. Now, the power of a champion's mentality, the power of a champion's mentality. Now, the foundation of all success begins in your mind. Wherever you are, Whether you realize it or not, your thoughts shape your outcome. Now, the way you perceive challenges and process failure and push through adversity all stems from your mindset. A champion's mentality isn't about or isn't just about winning, but it's about developing the resilience to stand firm when everything else around you suggests defeat. That's a champion's mentality. It's about knowing that success is possible, even when the odds are against you, just pushing through to get to those goals that you're trying to accomplish. Now, as I mentioned on last week, I spent some time as a basketball coach, primarily AAU, for many years. And here's a story, if you will, that I'd like to share with you. Now, when I was coaching AAU, one of the things I used to tell the players is that part of this game, or the majority part of this game, 85% even, is all mental. The rest of the percentage, the 15%, is for talent, agility, so on and so forth. But 85% of the game is mental. And I would like to subscribe to you on today that 85% of life really is mental, especially when it comes to handling crisis and disappointments and things of that nature. You heard the phrase that has been said, is mind over matter, mind over matter. Well, let me share this. During my time coaching AAU basketball, there was a player on the team who was immensely talented. I coached some very good girls, and they were just talented. And this particular young lady had the skills to be great, but lacked the confidence to really fully tap into her potential. Every missed shot seemed to drain her energy and belief in herself. It was her physical ability that was holding her back. It wasn't that. It wasn't the physical ability that was holding it back. It was her mindset. You see, we spent time working on her mentality and building up her self confidence and changing the way that she responded to certain mistakes. And instead of seeing the future or the failure in all of that, she was able to tap into her potential and become one of the star players on the team. Now she went from doubting herself to basically leading us to victory, as it were. Now, that's a powerful mindset mastery. When you can control your mind, you're you're basically controlling your future. Now, a few practical tips to, I'll say, develop, and even not just develop, but maintain a championship's or a champion's mentality is these three things. Now, these three things, or techniques, if you want to call them, they help to cultivate, all right, the champion's mentality that can really be implemented in any area of your life. Okay. Number one, positive affirmations. The mind is deeply influenced by words that we speak to ourselves. If you start your day by declaring positive truths about who you are and what you're capable of, statements like, I am resilient, or I can achieve my goals, or I am stronger than my challenges, that can reprogram your subconscious to focus on success instead of defeat. Now, doing this regularly will become or you'll begin to shift your mental narrative and reinforcing confidence and a forward looking mindset. A few years back, I did this thing called the 21 habits. And I took it from psychology, basically saying that it takes 21 days of consistent activity to create a habit. Now, that can be good or bad, but I did 21 habits as it relates to business. Because we develop bad business habits as well as good business habits. But I want to submit to you today, if you look at these three techniques that I'm sharing with you, they will help you to cultivate a champion's mentality. So, positive affirmations is the first one. The second one is reframing from failure. Reframe, or rather, reframe failure. Now, one of the most important mindset shifts you can make is learning to reframe failure. Instead of seeing failure as a dead end, see it as feedback. A tool that is used to refine your approach, and not only refine your approach, but also strengthen your resolve. Every setback is an opportunity to gather more information to build your resilience. Failure is all part of the process. Champions understand that every stumble is a stepping stone to success. Now, Michael Jordan went on record basically to say how many shots that he missed, how many games that he lost, and all of these different things. And he concluded by basically saying that all of these things, to the natural eye, if you will, were failures. But they actually built him to have the resiliency to become a champion. So, out of all of the failures, it forced him to push harder and become the champion that he is today. So, reframe failure. The third thing is visualization. Now, this particular technique is very powerful. Um, I would even suggest that this is all about perspective. Okay. So, this particular technique, visualization, it's it's that thing that the top athletes and the successful business leaders use all the time. Now, do this for me. Make a vow to take a few minutes each day to visualize yourself achieving the goals that you have set. Now, the more clearly that you can visualize the result, the more motivated and focused you become to make it reality, right? When you see yourself succeed in your mind, guess what? The body has to follow. So the three techniques that I want you to take away from today is positive affirmations, reframe failure, and thirdly, visualization. Now, when we do this and we will say master these techniques, you'll begin to see growth. You'll begin to see how you don't things don't bother you as much as they used to bother you. It's sort of like creating a hedge or certain force shield, if you will, around you that nothing can touch your mindset. See, when you begin to think a certain way, it begins to manifest itself. And if you allow yourself to reframe failure and visualize these things and continue to have positive affirmations every day, I assure you that you will accomplish everything that you set forth. Now, I often tell people when I'm doing workshops and teaching and things of that nature, I often tell them that when you set goals, every goal, in my opinion, is obtainable. It's the process in which it takes to get there. For instance, for me, I set 3, 6, 9 month goals. And then I used the 10, 11, and 12 to kind of recalibrate and get ready to push forward to my 3, 5, 10 year goals. Now, that may sound very complex, but if you think about it, I'm beginning with my 10-year goal. And then I back it back to 5, I back it back to 3, and then I even back it back to that 1 year of preparation to set the milestones up for the duration of that term. Now, the 3, the 6, and the 9 months, just because they're quarters, I can sit back and I can do an internal audit on the things that I've accomplished, the things that I wanted to do, the things that I wasn't able to do, so on and so forth. And that has made me, in my opinion, successful to the extent that I can do what I'm doing. Okay. So I encourage you to take those small goals and accomplish them, because what that's going to do, that's going to give you small victories. And when those small victories accumulate, then you have greater victories. Make sense? So I highly encourage you to do that. Now, another thing that I want to talk about with this first segment here, or actually going into the second segment, is that when we um, when we master our mindset, we start thinking differently. When we develop that champion's mentality, we start doing things differently. Our poise is different. Our discipline is different. Our verbiage is different. Our lifestyle is different. The things that we are accustomed to doing that may be bad habits, they change. Once that happens, you're going to see progress. It may be incremental, but you'll still see progress. So, what you're going to have to do is learn to overcome self doubt and fear. You got to overcome self doubt and fear. Now, in my coaching program, I talk about imposter syndrome and I talk about um, smashing limited beliefs. And as it relates to the limited beliefs, we have to break free from these things. Now, did you know that the most significant barrier that we face in life are often the ones that we build ourselves? Limiting beliefs, such as self doubt and fear, are like invisible chains that's holding us back from reaching our full potential. But here's the thing, those chains can be broken. You see, fear is normal, and self doubt is something that we all experience at some point of time. But guess what? You're a champion. And see, champions don't let those feelings paralyze them. Doesn't say that you won't have them, but they do not allow those fears to paralyze them. You know what they do? They acknowledge them and then they move forward anyway. Yes, this is there, but I'm going to push through it. You see, when we overcome the internal barrier, that is the key to unlocking your true potential. Those of you that follow me, I have a thing that I say as part of my business model is that we activate your passion, your potential, and your purpose. Everyone has a purpose, and there's untapped potential that is inside of you. And because of passion, once it's ignited, it's a chain reaction from there on. Now, here's something I want you to do. Let's do something right now, all right? I want you to think. Think about the one belief that has been holding you back. The one belief that's been holding you back. What's the thought or the fear that you return to when things get difficult? That thing right there. Now, maybe it's the fact that you may say, I'm not good enough, or someone has told you that you weren't good enough. Maybe it's the fact that you don't have what it takes, or someone has told you that you don't have what it takes. Just get that thing in your mind. Now, in your mind, I want you to take that thought and just like you're balling up a piece of paper, ball that thought up and throw it away. That's what I want you to do today. Because when you visualize yourself throwing it in the trash can, because that thought no longer has power over you, you now have the ability to guess what? Rewrite the narrative. Have you ever been writing a piece of paper or writing down or journaling or doing something on the paper and you mess up and you just ball the paper up, throw it in the trash can? I've done it many times. I do a lot of writing and you're just scribbling, writing down, and it's like, man, just turn it up. And time you look, you got a whole trash can that's full of balled up paper, right? Well, that's that fear. That's that doubt. That's those limited beliefs that have been circulating your brain. Ball it up, throw it away in the proverbial trash can, and then take a clean plate of paper, piece of paper, and rewrite your narrative and replace those limited beliefs with new empowering truths. Let me share this with you. I once worked with a business leader who had reached an impressive level of success, right? And she was constantly battling imposter syndrome. And for those of you that don't know what imposter syndrome is, basically, in short, you have multiple people saying that you are good at this and you've accomplished this and you're very talented at that. And but they give you all these accolades and you have the proof in the subject matter to show and to support it, but yet you don't feel that you're deserving of all of that. Okay. So no matter how much she achieved, she didn't believe that she deserved her success. Now, this self doubt was limiting her ability to grow, and not only her ability to grow, but it was limiting her ability to lead her team effectively. So we worked on breaking those limited beliefs, and I helped her to develop a mindset focus on self empowerment as well as self belief. And I got shout out to John Maxwell because I had to refer back, as I often do, to the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, the law of the lid. You know, your staff, your team cannot go any higher than what you are, and it's all about mindset. Now, once she started owning her worth and recognizing her capabilities, everything changed. She led her company to record breaking quarters. And not only that, but she suddenly gained new skill sets with her company, and all of that was going on because she had shifted her mindset and she unlocked her potential. I like to say she activated her passion, her potential, and her purpose. Now, this is the power of mindset mastery. Now, it can completely change the course of your life as well as your career. So here, take this away. The mental battle is often the toughest one, but once you have mastered your mindset, you're already halfway to success. The external wins will always follow the internal victories. I'll say that again. The external wins will always follow the internal victories. All right. Well, that's the first half of the doubleheader. That's the first half of the doubleheader. So we're going to pause right now for the cause, if you will, and we're going to prepare to run some commercials, and so that you can see some of the great people and the collaborations that we're working with. And I just want to tell you, I want to encourage you as I recap the first half of the doubleheader. You gotta understand that you are in control of your destiny. Now, you have to believe that within yourself. And the way that you do that is to understand how to master your mindset, to cultivate that champion's mentality. You know, LA Lakers great Kobe Bryant had what was referred to as being the Mamba mentality. And that is a champion's mindset and mentality. You see? So there is power in developing that type of mindset. And when you master it, you'll begin to see all kinds of things unfold. So the techniques or the tips that I gave, positive affirmations, make sure that you start your day by declaring positive truths about who you are and what you're capable of doing. Okay. Secondly, reframe failures. Just reframe it. Every setback is an opportunity to gather more information that will help you to build your resilience. And then lastly, visualization. See yourself successful. See yourself having already accomplished those goals. See yourself already walking in the type of lifestyle that you want to walk in. Because what's going to happen is when you see your success in your mind, the body has to follow suit. It has to happen. As it relates to overcoming self doubt and fear, you got to break free from those limited beliefs. Again, the most significant barriers that we face in life are often the ones that we build ourselves. but we got to acknowledge them and then we got to move forward, move away from them because overcoming these internal barriers is the key to unlocking your true potential. So I encourage you to do that on today. Remember, the mental battle is often the toughest one, but once you have mastered your mindset, you have already halfway to success. But the eternal wins that you have will always follow the internal, or rather, the external wins will always follow the internal victories. Okay? All right. Listen, we're going to break right now for a commercial, but we will be right back. Again, this is Dr. Sean M. Nicholson, the Pass Eye on the podcast, and we're here on the Infusion TV channel and the Mogul Global TV network. And we're happy to be a part of that family. And we hope that you are enjoying. Remember, we're here every week, every Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. And the great thing about it is that's when we're live, but we catalog or we archive the broadcast or the podcast so you're able to go back and get it on demand. So we're excited about that as well. So remember, every Wednesday at 8:30 right here on this channel, the Infusion TV channel, which is part of the Mogul TV Global Network. All right. We'll see you in a short minute. All right, all right. We are back. We're back. Welcome. I am Dr. Sean M. Nicholson, and you are tuned into the Pass Eye On podcast, where we are activating your passion, your potential, as well as your purpose. So we want to say welcome, welcome, welcome. You'll find us here every Wednesday rather, every Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. Every Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. right here on the Infusion TV channel, which is part of the Mogul TV Global Network. So we're happy to be a part. Or you can find me on all social media. We also have brought our podcast running on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So we have the live on Wednesday, and then we have the live sandwiched in with two additional 30-minute podcasts on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So you get to see me and hear me 3 days a week. All right. So tell your friends, tell your colleagues, tell your families to tune in. And please do this for me. Subscribe. We have our YouTube page. Excuse me. We have a YouTube page. I'm asking you to subscribe and to follow us, right? To like, comment, and subscribe. I want to hear from you. I want to hear the things that you're going through, so that we can do something about it, right? There's a lot of people that have some great ideas and some great disciplines, and they just need some coaching every now and then. So I'm your coach. I need you to say, "Put me in the game, coach, and I'll take care of you." All right. So the past couple of weeks, we've been basically drawing parallels with my time as a basketball coach with AAU, and um, coaching was very, very special to me. And being able to coach and to see the progress from the young girls that I was coaching was amazing. Just to see the transformation and all that they were learning to do was very, very beneficial. And I think that it helped me to be a more empathetic coach in my coaching practice now, because I understand that people learn differently. And so I've been able to successfully um, frame things in a way that I can give the people, if you will, what they need in order to achieve the success that they desire to achieve. So I'm grateful for that time. So we talked about the power of mastering a mindset. You know, when we began to really master and control our mind, everything else is easier. I talked about how that 85% of this is mental. 85% is mental. And so what we got to do is we got to get control of that mindset, and we got to do that shifting. I wrote a book entitled "Teach Me How to Pivot," and it's an acronym for planning, innovation, vision outweigh threats. And in there, I talk about a pivot mindset. We got to be able to pivot with our mind. And just look at it this way: when you're playing basketball, where if I'm in a stance, I'm on a court, all right, talking about basketball now, I'm on a court, and I get past the ball. Now we teach and we learn that we catch the ball, and now we got some decisions to make, right? The decisions are this: we could shoot the ball where we are, depending on where we are. We can dribble the ball, drive towards the basket, if you will. If the defender's on us, we can plant our pivot foot and we can pivot around without losing our control and lifting up our foot to draw a travel, right? And what are you saying? So when you catch the ball, you got some decisions that you have to make. You can freeze through fear and limit it to beliefs, or you can embrace the fact that you are successful and you can do it. And you can either shoot the ball, or you can pump fake, or you can drive right to the basket. Those are the decisions that you can make. In business, in life, it's the same thing. You have the ball, you are in control. Everything that happens is driven by your next move. So the question is, which way are you going to move? Now, we already talked about eliminating the doubt and the fear. We talked about cultivating a champion's mentality. In this segment, we want to talk about embracing the pivot. All right. So let's be honest, setbacks are a natural part of life, whether it's in business, relationships, or personal development. Things won't always go according to plan. But here's the key: setbacks don't have to define your outcome. Instead, what they do is provide a moment to just reevaluate and then pivot. A pivot doesn't have to, how can I say, it doesn't, a pivot doesn't mean that you abandon your vision, doesn't mean that you forego your dreams, doesn't mean that. It simply means that you find a new, more effective plan to reach them. Now, oftentimes in these particular moments of the pivot, that's when we discover opportunities for success that we couldn't see before. So, embracing the pivot is about recognizing that change is not a sign of failure, but it's a strategic decision that can lead to greater success. But you got to be willing to embrace the pivot. Now, excuse me, here's an example. Let me take you back to a pivotal moment during my days of coaching AAU basketball. Now, I think I said last week, I coached recreation ball initially. I coached um, um, middle school ball, and I think my love was with AAU. You know, from 10U all the way up to 15U. I mean, I had a ball, and then even spent some time coaching collegiate with my daughter. So I spent a lot of time on the hardwood. I spent a lot of time drawing up plays and teaching and practicing and coaching and all. I spent a lot of time. So during my time as a coach, I learned a lot of things. So if just bear with me as I take you back into time and to a pivotal moment during my days of coaching AAU basketball in particular. Now, there was a game that we were down by double digits at halftime. Now, everything we had planned wasn't working, and we had to make a decision. The decision was either keep going with the same strategy, which clearly wasn't working, or make a major pivot. Now, I will be the first one to say that the players are on the floor. They're the ones that's orchestrating everything. The coach is the one that everything that I do at practice, that's all I can do. It's up to you once you get on the court. Now, there is, however, a way for me from the sidelines to continue to coach and to encourage and to guide you towards victories. But ultimately, you are the one that will accomplish that. So, what we did, we changed our defense and we shifted our offensive strategy. I mean, basketball one on one, right? And we made a pact in that locker room that we were going to communicate more effectively as a team. Communicate more effectively as a team. Now, that pivot wasn't just a tactical shift, it was a mental one. Because when first mindset would be to go this way, we had to embrace the fact that that way was not working. So we had to pivot to something else. By the end of the game, we had come back to win. And that showed me that it's all about mindset. That's the power of the pivot. It's not about abandoning your mission, as it were, but it's about adjusting your approach to the mission to achieve the same, if not better, results. Do this with me. I want you to think about a challenge. Think about a challenge that you're facing right now. Whether you're in the workspace as a manager or a supervisor or an employee, or you're in the C suite, you're an entrepreneur, you're a budding entrepreneur or aspiring entrepreneur, you're a student, you're a college getting ready to graduate, you're working on a thesis, you're whatever the case may be. Think about a challenge that you're facing right now. What's the situation where where your current approach isn't working? It might be your business, your career, or even your personal life. Question is this: what can you do differently? How can you pivot to take control of the situation and move forward? Remember, sometimes the best path isn't the one that you originally set out on, but it's the one that you discover along the way. Flexibility and flexibility in conjunction with adaptability, excuse me, are the keys to navigating through any setback. Again, in my book, Teach Me How to Pivot, I focus on those letters: planning, innovation, vision outweigh threats. It's just like understanding that when I am going one way and it just doesn't seem to be working, do I continue to go down that road or do I pause? We talked about the halftime huddle on how we reevaluate, we realign, right? Reset so that we can pivot and then we can move on. In basketball, the great thing about that pivot foot, as long as we don't dribble that ball, we can move almost like a 360. But the time that we put the ball on the floor, we got to go. But the great thing is, once we go, we can set up again to receive the ball, and then we can pivot. I remember, I remember playing ball, as a matter of fact, and how that one of the great things that I used to do, like to do, is dribbling the ball down to the baseline. And if they cut off the baseline, I was able to move around to come back to the top of the key and then come right down the middle of the paint because you're looking all the way around to see if that doesn't work. Basketball IQ, I got to come back and go a different way. So in life, in business, it's the same way. This was the goal the set that was set out, but that's not working. There's some good defense there. So we got to turn around, reset, and then start all over again. Okay? Now, turning setbacks into opportunities. First of all, we got to identify hidden opportunities. The truth is, setbacks are often going to be hitting opportunities. When things don't go as planned, it forces you to stop, it forces you to reflect, and it forces you to reassess the situation. Now, just watch this. The pause, while uncomfortable, it can offer so much clarity that we might not have found otherwise. Setbacks can push you to be innovative, to think differently, and to discover strengths that you didn't know that you had. I've seen, and I listen, I've seen time and time again moments that we perceive as failures often hold the seeds, right, of our greatest achievement. The key is learning to shift your perspective. Learn to shift your perspective, seeing setbacks as an opportunity to pivot, and not just an opportunity to pivot, but being able to uncover new potential. That's very important. Being able to uncover new potential. Listen, as I said before, I feel that my job is to help to activate your passion, your potential, and your purpose. Each one of us has a purpose. Most of us have untapped potential. The key is identifying what that passion is, what you're passionate about, and then moving there. It's nothing worse than doing something on a day-to-day basis that you don't like to do. When I got into the coaching field, it started out as a consultant, and we still do some consulting work. But this whole industry, if you will, is, I mean, just made for me. There's nothing else that I would rather do than what I'm doing right now. I am so passionate about it that there's no way that anyone can deter me from continuing to do the things that I'm doing because I'm just that passionate about it. And once you find that thing that you're passionate about, I'm telling you, you'll be able to do so much to help other people, so much. And as I like to say, pass I on. All right. So look, we're about to wrap up, but I got one more segment that I want to talk to you about. Um, I want to share that with you. So I'm gonna be right back because we're gonna go ahead and drop this last commercial, and I'll be right back to you. All right. See you in a minute. All right, all right. I'm back. I'm back. Again, welcome to the Pass Eye On podcast. I am your host, Dr. Sean M. Nicholson, and we have been in our double header, and we're coming to the close of the double header. So I hope that you have learned some life lessons and things that you could start living today. Now, when we look at turning setbacks into opportunities, we talked about how that we got to identify the hidden opportunities and how that these setbacks that we face are actually opportunities for success. It's just a matter of us being able to stop and to refocus and to reassess, to reflect on the things that have been going on. And I feel very, very strongly that setbacks can push you to be innovative. I'm telling you, you'll be coming up with so many ideas and ways of changing things and basically just thinking differently. And you're going to discover strengths that you didn't even know that you have. And that's the great thing about your potential. There's so many things. There's so many positive things that are laying dormant in your soul, in your body right now that you haven't even tapped into, and probably would never tap into until the opportunity um, presents itself to force you to tap into it. So you got to look at being able to turn setbacks into opportunities. You got to be able to do that. Now, look, I remember working with an entrepreneur who was on the brink of bankruptcy, and bankruptcy is never a good feeling. And I remember that the business was failing, and it looked like everything was lost, everything. But instead of throwing in the towel, I was able to get them to make a bold decision. And the decision that they made caused them to pivot. They took a hard look at their business model and realized that it wasn't the product that was the problem, but it was the approach that she had to the market that she was in. So she shifted her focus, she rebranded, and found new ways to serve her customers. Now, within a year's time, she went from nearly losing everything to generating a more substantial profit. Now, that initial setback wasn't the end, but it was the beginning of her greatest success. And her pivot unlocked the doors that she would never have seen otherwise. And I give you these real life case scenarios because I've been doing this a while, and I've seen and I've talked to a lot of different people. We've helped out a lot of people, and I've even written a book about it, the 7 building blocks to sustainability and success. And one of those ones that I helped her was with rebranding. That's one of the 7 building blocks, rebranding. We talked about resiliency. That's another one of those building blocks. So when you utilize these building blocks, it will guarantee you sustainability and success. So listen, let me ask you this: how do you turn setbacks into opportunity? How do you do that? And are you comfortable understanding that there's another way? Are you comfortable? Can you embrace that idea? Here are 3 actionable steps that you can start today, really, that will help you to pivot strategically. Number 1, reevaluate your goals. Reevaluate your goals. Take a step back, breathe, assess where you are, assess your original goals, and make the decision whether or not they are still relevant. You see, sometimes we're so focused on the path that we chosen that now we don't even realize our destination needs to shift. Don't be afraid to adjust your goals if the circumstances have changed. Align them with your current situation and what you've learned from the setbacks. So reevaluate your goals. The second thing is leverage your strengths. Identify what you're great at and how you can use those strengths in new and creative ways. I'm an adjunct professor at a career college, and I was teaching. I was in class the other day, as a matter of fact, and I was telling them this. I said, now I know a lot of people have told you that you focus on your strength. I mean, you got strengths and weaknesses, and you're supposed to focus on your weaknesses because your strengths will already be there. Whatever, they'll do what they need to do. And I challenged them and told them this. I said, look, your strengths are just that, your strengths. And whereas that your your weaknesses are byproducts of what your strengths have not done. So if you just focus exclusively on your weaknesses, where are you going to get the fortitude and the energy to change them? Rather, consider focusing on your strengths, because then you go into autopilot and it frees you up. And as long as you're doing that, some of the byproducts of those strengths will help you out with the weaknesses. So during a pivot, learn and lean basically into your core strengths, because they will give you the solid foundation to move forward. Ask yourself this: what am I really good at? And how can that skill help me in this new direction? The third thing, after you have reevaluated your goals, after you have leveraged your strengths, you should seek new partnerships. Listen, don't be afraid to reach out and collaborate. Sometimes the missing piece, hear me now, sometimes the missing piece to your pivot is the right partnership. Find people who complement your skills and that share your vision. Collaboration can often lead to new solutions that you wouldn't have come up with on your own. Seek mentors, seek partners, and even clients who can help you achieve your next level of success. I'm telling you, when you begin to use these tips and these practices and all, you're going to see a whole new world, if you will. I believe in you, and I believe that you can make it happen. Okay? Now, look, that wraps up this episode of Pass I On, the podcast today. And we've explored how setbacks aren't the end of the story, but rather they're opportunities to pivot and to basically chart a new course towards success. Now, whether it's developing a champion's mentality or learning how to turn obstacles into stepping stones, it all comes down to how you respond, right? So remember, life's most significant moments of growth often come from the pivots we're brave enough to make. As we close, I encourage you to reflect on your own journey and to consider how you can embrace the pivot in your life. Well, I've enjoyed today's episode. I hope that you have as well. And don't forget to subscribe, to leave a review, and to share this podcast with someone who could benefit from these insights. And remember, you can catch me weekly right here with the Infusion family, the Infusion TV channel on the Mogul TV Global Network. So until next time, keep your passion burning and continue to pass I on, because passion is not just what you feel, but is what you pass on to others. And I believe that passion is the ability to pass I on. So until the next time, I'm Dr. Sean, and we will see you next week. All right? Take care.